Okay. This one's going to be kind of screwed up. And I say that as the interim terms of the actual words I want to use, because I have to wait a full freaking minute before I say anything even close to the word cluck. And that's with an F, by the way. But unfortunately, there ain't much better of nothing else I can do, so I'm just going to give something I can possibly freaking do to you. And that's going to be talking about how the different factions in Battletech treat their infantry, how their infantry is basically organized, and all the basic, simple stuff that you could just probably find, but really can't, because if you just Google or search in any way, shape, or form infantry and Battletech, you get a million different answers and 0 questions were even asked for them. So let's just jump in, shall we? No intro because I can't afford it, so let's slap on into the slop, shall we? Oh yeah, and I really couldn't do much of nothing else when it came to images or nothing, and whenever I looked for Battletech infantry, and I found almost absolutely nothing when it came to images except for a few washed up things that I can't use anymore. Thank you so much for copywriting that, you freaking slimy bastard! Instead, enjoy the slideshow I put together from whatever I had on hand. You're welcome, and do with whatever it is you will while I rant. Anyway, let's jump into it very simply, shall we? So let's go to the different varieties of infantry when it comes to the primary infantry, period. This mostly has to do with like just the individual infantry and their weaponry and all that kind of stuff, right? So anyway, let's go to the first part of it all, ballistic rifle infantry. Basically, a bunch of me's with, well, weaponry we have right now IRL. So machine guns, ballistic weaponry of every single type. We don't have energy weapons yet, for all anyone freaking knows. But anyway, ballistic rifle infantry. Guys with assault rifles, ARs, whatever, the colloquial term for, talking about the black scary gun thing that shoot many around at whatever it is that I like or don't like, depending on who the heck I am that's talking about it. That's ballistic rifle infantry. Next one is energy rifle infantry. This is infantry with extra special spicy rifles. It's a platoon of dudes with red glowing assault rifles, essentially. They're man-portable, like laser weapons that are in Battletech quite kind of, sort of, just everywhere, really, it seems like. Almost anyone and everyone can have it, but anyway. And on top of all that, energy rifle infantry is mostly just, well, I got some kind of fancy space laser gun. Take your pick or flavor. Next up, machine gun infantry. So basically these guys are gunners. They get all the fun guns, the machine guns, the heavy machine guns, the kind of things that may or may not be like a machine gun that shoot grenade exploding rounds instead. It's a very fun thing to think about. I loved being a gunner. Man, I freaking miss the army. Anyway, next one is SRM infantry. Missile infantry, basically guys with missile launchers of some kind. They've got short range. They're effective against a lot of things. A mech might or possibly be kind of one of them if they're in place correctly. Anyway, let's move on. So, next one is LRM infantry. So, LRM infantry, or LRM, long range missile infantry, basically they're able to hit, enemy targets with longer range missiles. That's essentially the best explanation, simplified possible that there could possibly be. So, imagine LRMs and a handful of a bunch of angry grunts who may or may not get pasted in the next wave of drop reinforcements from mechs with flamers or anything anti-personnel, period. That being said, kaboom, let's go on to the next one. Yes, I do love that image of Henry Cavill as the God Emperor. You cannot change my mind. Anyway, flamer infantry. Infantry with flamethrowers. Essentially it. Okay, now the different infantry types. When it comes to movement and mobility, because this is how they do things. Foot infantry. Basically guys that were more like me, who used to run around mountains all the damn time and go through all the terrain possible with their 2 God-given Lamborghinis, and going as fast as you possibly can to evade anything and everything, and also to ambush anything and everything from very adverse terrain all the damn time. See a different video about infantry and Battletech and the scenario I posed where you quite literally ambush a mech with at least a platoon, lose maybe a quarter, and then end up putting a charge inside of the mech from behind and just pasting the entire mech and pilot, called a Mechwarrior, how pretentious they are, And then that's the end of the mech. Anyway, moving on. Motorized infantry. So basically infantry that's got wheels. They drive around, ride around, and, you know, they don't have tracks or, you know, anything fancy yet, like hovering or nothing like that. So basically infantry that's got, you know, personally owned vehicles of some kind or military vehicles that are the equivalent. So just imagine freaking Toyota Hiluxes and everywhere with infantry guys on them. It's the best I could throw at you. Anyway, moving on. Jump. So these dudes kind of sounds like what exactly it says. Jump. So they're infantry of a definitely different types of any type you really want, carrying whatever almost you want, that have a, well, they got a jump pack of some kind, or a jet pack, or whatever the heck you want to call it, hover pack, doesn't matter, it all does the same damn shit. Anyway, jump infantry are notorious for trying to jump on mechs, apparently, and I just imagine this funny picture in my head where I just see a platoon of infantry guys who are just gillied up and camoed up in a wood line. A mech comes stomping through thinking he's big, beefy, and badass, and then suddenly a platoon of freaking parts of trees, foliage, and bushes just start jumping all over the bastard. And next thing you know, they're cutting through his freaking cockpit. So that's just a really funny, like, I like thinking of that scenario in my head. Someone animate that, please. Anyway, moving on. Next one is a lot of people's favorite one, mechanized. So you can be a ground pounder and not have to get your feet broken too much. So basically dudes that are in MRAPs and hover, wheeled, and tracked vehicles. So essentially infantry that's got some armor and move much, much quicker than, well, mechs a lot of the times too. So anyway, that being said, they also have their, you know, APCs and stuff like that. Although APCs in Battletech are notoriously not that very good, but, you know, compared to a big, giant, walking, freaking, you know, giant metal robot covered in armor, I mean, standard infantry stuff's good enough to me. You just need massive firepower. Anyway, moving on. And then there's a type of infantry in Battletech that isn't often mentioned too terribly much, but is just funny and just really hilarious to bring up. And I love this image. It kind of reminds me of telling stories to my soldiers about back in my day when we first invented the infantry before dirt was created by the infantry stomping everything else around it into paste, and then that paste drying out and becoming dirt. So there you go. History of the world for you from a grunt's version of things. You're welcome. Any schmoozle, I'd tell the youngins the story about this, and where we all had a rock we had to share, and we all had one dinosaur to ride into battle. And that's basically what the beast-mounted infantry are in Battletech. So, yeah, very funny, very hilarious. I love it to death. It's so funny. I'm just imagining, you know, like some crazy freaking, you know, mongoloid of an infantryman. I've known a few. I never was that big, ever. And them just going out taming a bear, putting some, I don't know, like flak armor on it or some shit, and then charging into battle with that, and them having some kind of, you know, primary weapon system mounted on the back. It's just, I just love that image. And then for anti-personnel, I mean, what's more anti-personnel than something that wants to eat the enemy anyways? I'm just saying. Anyway, and there's all sorts of wacky and wild alien creatures, whatever that you could put, that they could be riding and put on whatever, okay? It's a big, giant, freaking galaxy and, you know, universe. There's a myriad of different creatures all over the place. Next, we got Aerial Beast Infantry. So this is even more funny to me, and I enjoy this greatly. It's basically infantry riding flying animals. So think Avatar, except get rid of the alien blue freaks that deserve to be wiped off the face of existence. Any schmoozle, humanity number one. That being said, it's literally fucking dragon-mounted, like, you know, I'm not even joking. I couldn't find the image for this, and even if I could, I probably couldn't use it anyway. So enjoy whatever's on screen at the moment while I rant. But, but anyway, just imagine, like, you know, an infantry grunt like me, if you've seen the videos of me at all recently, And imagine me on top of a dragon in all full battle rattle, right? And I got like I don't know, a machine gun or something up top, or I don't know. Maybe I'd have like a Mark 19. No freaking clue what I would put on that sucker and how it would work, but I would make it work somehow. For all I know, I could fit some kind of like AT-4 and Javelin system to the wings of it, and it flexing just launches them all at once. That would be fun in itself. Anyway, I have a spoon. Your argument's invalid. That being said, spoons are surprisingly effective, actually, against a human being. But we'll just put that aside. Any schmoozle, it's really funny and very hilarious. I love the idea of just having a literal goddamn dragon and being an infantryman riding around on the sucker and just lighting mechs on fire from randomly in the sky. I just love that freaking image. Well, anyway, let's go to one of the last ones that I could find out anything about, even more than already not being in the books, period. Field gun infantry. Basically, field gun infantry are your artillerymen. So in the IRL army of the past, they would be called the King of Battle, and they're kind of sort of could be infantry, but they kind of sort of couldn't, so they have to lob stuff for the infantry instead to make up for the fact they couldn't actually be infantry. That being said, after talking a lot of shit about my King of Battle, basically it's infantry that are towing like some kind of weapons emplacements that are heavy enough to be considered artillery. So it could be anything from AC-2s to Gauss rifles and AC-5s, anything that's ballistic, long range, and packs a punch. There's most likely an artillery equivalent for it, hailstorm and all that kind of stuff. And that's basically what field gun infantry uses. They set up somewhere, launch rounds super far away at the enemy. They can't see them yet. And, they're getting called in by spotters and everything on the front line. And they're basically lining up mechs and trying to destroy the whole grid square the mech is coming from. So that's basically field gun infantry. Okay, now to talk about the different factions of Battletech when it comes to their infantry, I'll be honest, there is not actually too many of any references, period, I could even figure out. So we'll just go with the proclivities of the different inner sphere states, and just leave the rest of them out there because we don't know what's going to happen next. So starting with the Capellan Confederation, basically think about your average commie state. Your average, commie socialist state. And the picture on screen actually defines that perfectly before the badass came back into the frame. But any shamhoozle, think about infantry that are, punitively all conscripted, forced to go fight. A lot of them do have a lot of fervor for the Capellan Confederation, but there's also a huge amount of them that just most likely probably don't want to be there. So that's their, Capellan Confederation infantry best guess. Now, when it comes to Comstar, they seem to actually treat everybody that is a part of Comstar remarkably well. So I think of Comstar as like some kind of commercial mercenary, group that is really rich and powerful because it collects its taxes from everyone. Otherwise, you get a friendly visit from Comstar. Make sure you pay your freaking phone bills, fucko. And I am just assuming that all of Comstar's personnel just live lavishly beautiful lives. Kind of like if Master Chief was, I don't know, just treated a lot better and given more leave time. That being said, next is the Draconis Combine. Honor with a side of honor and, imperialism and some ancient space Japan type of stuff. That's about the best I could throw all of at it at simply the best time. So imagine the ISDF, JSDF mixed with ancient samurai, and you've basically got the idea. These guys live to serve and die to live. So that's the Draconis Combine, and they will absolutely destroy themselves personally if they feel like they failed the Great Dragon in any way, shape, or form. That's the long and short of it, essentially. Okay, so the Federated Sons. Oh my lord, are they fun. So they've usually been the most powerful and largest of the successor states in the inner sphere, and they're it's kind of like if you mix the French and English nobility of like ancient Terra together, as constitutional monarchs and, champions of liberty and personal freedom. So I guess a mixture of the United States of America and Great Britain. And a little bit of like old school France in some way. That's the that's the best way I can explain that one. And so essentially they're very much about pomp and circumstance, but they absolutely will stomp a mud hole in your ass if you piss them off. Completely and totally feasible. Anyway, next for the Lyrian Commonwealth. They're you know what? Okay, part of the Lyrian Commonwealth is House Steiner. So, I mean, that kind of says it all. They go big or they go home. Their infantry is kitted out with everything heavy that they could possibly do anything with, and then they'll just toss them at the enemy in just ungodly numbers of everything, please, and we'll spend more just to have more. So that's essentially the Lyrian Commonwealth. But from the very minuscule references that I could even find, right, they seem to treat their troops just like, well, the United States of America of old Terra used to treat its troops. It's very much equivalent there. And then we'll go to the Free Worlds League. And the Free Worlds League is, interesting in many different ways. Because the Free Worlds League is a federation ruled by a parliament, and it's kind of like a de facto military dictatorship. So basically, if you're military in House Merrick, you're living the good life 24/7 until warfare comes to your door, and then you have to go and see if you can come back and return to the good life if you don't die by getting stomped to death by some kind of mech or anything else on the planet that just landed and decided to try to crush your home. So yeah, that being said, that is the long and short of the different infantry in Battletech and the best guesses about their treatment in between all the different houses, simplified to the absolute extreme. Well, damn, sorry again, no outro or intro. I have nothing to do that with at the moment. Can't afford nothing. So that being said, that is my best freaking rant about all this fucking shit possible. Thank you for listening. Actually, you know what? I should probably put some music in here somewhere. Yeah, I should definitely put some music in here somewhere. Period. Oh, wait, no, actually, never mind. YouTube's decided to copyright every music I use now, even if it's supposed to be copyright free. Well, that being said, I'm very sorry. Hope you enjoyed the slideshow of, slop images I threw up on the screen because I had literally nothing else I could use. And I hope you just enjoyed hearing me rant about the fact that being an infantryman is both cool, awesome, and bad, depending on where in the fucking hell you end up. And with that being said, thank you very much for your patience. For those of y'all who are still here, I do appreciate it. I'm sorry. I'm in an extremely reduced state at the moment. And I'm not really up to nothing on snuff, period. It's a very bad time for Badger, period. But, again, thank you for even being here and giving any of this an ear, period. It is appreciated, even if I make nothing from it. And to my biggest and giantest, and bestiest supporter, Commander Wolf. He will be on the comment section, I guarantee. Thank you. Thank you very much. You paid for me to get some, food for my son. That goes a long way. I appreciate it. That being said, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? You got anything to add, take away, talk shit about, fuck around with? You let me know. Here is the long short video about how infantry is treated in Battletech and the different factions and all that, simplified and explained by a simpleton idiot from the uncryogenetically unfrozen past of now in the future and having to deal with it. That being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will see y'all in the next one. I am Badger7 Actual, Blast Cat Badger, the formerly homeless veteran, again homeless veteran, and I am also Ex Nihilo 84 and Nobody on YouTube as well. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Be good, be safe, make a good life for yourselves. Goodbye.